Let's take it to the Twitter sphere and check in with our guy, Jeff Passan, because he's letting everybody know that Major League Baseball will indeed implement a challenge system for balls and strikes in the 2026 season after the league completion committee voted to usher in the era of robot umpiring. Teams will receive 2 challenges to dispute calls by the home plate umpires. So that gets us to our Nissan Advanced Metrics. Nissan makes cars that thrill. Experience the thrill yourself today and prepare to be thrilled because our player development analyst, Lance Brozdowski, he has stopped by to talk about that ABS system next year. It will be ushered in. So what does that mean for baseball moving forward, man?
I think it's a very good thing. Absolutely. I think it's an opportunity for us to not scream at our TVs when we see a call that's 3 balls off the plate. You can quickly just go to your helmet and tap it over. Here's the rules. We're ripping through them. You can challenge 2 calls per game. If you're correct, you retain the challenge, and you get another one in extra innings as well. As you see right there, successful challenges are retained. Made by pitcher, catcher, hitter. No assistance from the dugout or manager or anybody.
It's got to be instantaneous.
It's got to be instantaneous. It's got to be you on the mound. Here's some clips from AAA, which we've seen for the entirety of this season, Cole.
Yeah, and you guys have been on Road to Wrigley. You've worked through all this, and you've seen it actually in action. It doesn't take a whole bunch of time. The game keeps moving, doesn't it?
It's really quick. If you've ever watched tennis, their replay system is really, really efficient.
Spot shot.
Exactly. It doesn't even impede your enjoyment of the game, and I think this is going to be seamless and a universal positive for the league.
So I think it's going to take away from guys being able to frame.
I think so. Yeah.
It plays a big part in my mind when you look at these guys, because if I was an umpire, and I say this, I know we don't have a ton of time with this, but if I was an umpire and you're bringing pitches here, why are you messing with, why you insult my intelligence?
Yeah.
But if you're able to frame and you have a percentage from an analytical standpoint that says the best framers are this guy and this guy and this guy, then you're framing something that's not really there. That's just how I see it. But on the flip side, I'm very happy about it that they're going to implement this. I wish they would do it in the postseason this year. I wish, I was watching football last night, and it was a field goal made in the Lions-Ravens game, and I'm like, that ball didn't cover over the goalpost. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. It should have been a missed field goal. But you can't replay it. There's a problem to that. So as you move forward, I just hope that they allow you, to replay everything. That's going to impede. Like if it's going to play a big factor in the outcome of a game, then I should be able to replay it. That's just where I'm at. Yeah. I know it's stepping stones to everything, and this is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. When you take a look at some of the missed calls all season long, has it hurt or helped one team more than another this season, Lance?
The thing I'm somewhat baffled by, my guy Nacho and I were looking through this, the Cubs from a pitching standpoint, okay, how many inaccurate calls have they had? So this isn't necessarily who's, is it hurt or not. There's 729 of these. Basically, you're looking at balls outside the strike zone that were called strikes, or the inverse.
Look at that bottom line, though.
Matt Boyd, again, this is a byproduct of him throwing a lot of pitches for the Cubs.
Yep.
But you're looking at about 729. This is the fewest in Major League Baseball. What this is saying is the Cubs, from a pitching standpoint specifically, have had their zones called more accurately than any other team in Major League Baseball. It doesn't feel that way, right? Like, I feel like I watch games and I'm like, come on, what are you doing?
Cliff and I were watching Matt Boyd just the other day, and he wasn't getting those calls. And I looked at you, Cliff, and we were both in agreement and said, this may turn into runs really quick. And a 4-0 game, it was 4-3 in the blink of an eye, wasn't it?
Well, it was. And, I think the biggest thing when you look at this type of rotation is they don't throw with a lot of velo. So they're going to be on the corners way more than other teams. And I just feel like, they're missing these borderline pitches that typically would be called strikes.
And then hitting. So we're talking about the pitching side being accurate. The hitting side, kind of more middle of the pack here. So basically, you're missing about 2% of all calls. So I look at it this way, okay? You got about 1,500 calls over the course of a season that are inaccurate. I'd consider those the sample of those the team might try to challenge in subsequent seasons. And if you're watching a game and a guy throws 100 pitches, about 2 of those are going to be inaccurate. So this lines up with having 2 per game of you able to flip it over. But again, hitting and pitching differently. I think the most interesting thing is considering how exactly they're going to allocate when to challenge, right? Is it the pitchers? Is it the best hitters? Do we reserve it for offense? When do we do it? Is it leverage situations? There's a lot of game theory that can be involved in this that I find pretty entertaining.
I love that. I love that.
Thinking about it, right? Yeah.
That dialogue, because when you think about big situations, if I got bases loaded, then heck yeah. I don't care who up there. I need some runs scored, and you can't have me 0-1 in crucial situations. So early in the game, I don't care. If I got bases loaded or situations that's going to dictate me scoring a run, absolutely. ABS, that's going to play a role. Late in the games with these closers throwing 100 that you can't see, boom, I'm hitting that hat again. So it's something big. I think you're going to have a strategy part that's going to play it, on certain teams and how you go about it. But I think it's going to be something that's needed. I hope it gets past this two opportunities, to challenge. But you got to be right. So if you feel that, know what, he's wrong, and to right the ship, then you got to be right and you'll keep your challenges.
Will the ABS system, will that also challenge umpires to be a little better back there behind home plate, be more crisp, because you never want anyone to expose you. Oh, this guy right here, he has so many calls turned over on ABS.
I imagine it's going to force just more visibility of the umpires that are being overturned more. This is something I imagine Boog's going to bring up on the broadcast. Like if a guy's getting, let's say 5% of his calls overturned, that is really bad, right? So I imagine we're going to have maybe some more policing of umpires specifically. But you could also jump into the angles of considering who is the best. So we saw some things in spring training. I want to rip it to you guys quick. Among pitchers, catchers, and hitters from spring training, I assume this will port over to next season.
Okay.
Who do you think is the most accurate at overturning incorrect calls? I'll start with Cliff.
A challenge in it?
Yeah, challenge. So you challenge it, the probability you flip it to the correct call, like you are correct in your conversion of your challenge. Is it a pitcher, a catcher, or a hitter? Who's the most accurate?
The hitter.
Catcher.
Yeah, there we go. It's the catcher by a pretty good margin. We can see here for the data from spring training. Again, we're not entirely sure. Bottom left of your screen right here. We're not entirely sure if this will continue
56%.
perfectly. But the funniest thing to me is the pitchers, Cole. It's 41%.
Every pitcher thinks they're throwing strikes, don't they, though?
Right. That's the problem with
yeah.
this. That's why I feel like ABS is starting in the right direction. But when you look at the U.S. Open, don't they get it right? You take the pressure off the dude always. I just want the pressure off the umpires because they're trying their best. You can go down some different roads on how I look at umpiring. The best umpires in the game should be behind the plate most seriously.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So it'll stop
You
all
shouldn't
the
have to
foolishness,
rotate.
right?
Yeah.
How
It'll
about
stop
this?
all that.
We've talked about this plenty of times on Cubs Live, on Cubs Post Game Live. It should be an earned system. If you're one of the best umpires in all of the league, then guess what? You get home plate for those all-important games. And if you haven't passed a battery of tests before the season gets underway, then you have to be first base, third base, during the postseason, down the line in the outfield. There's no shame in that, is there?
Yeah.
It's no shame in that, and I'll agree with you 100%. But if I'm Saya, I'm ticked off.
Exactly.
We saw him at the bottom of that graphic,
Yeah.
right?
Come on,
Five
man.
incorrect
Come on,
calls.
dog.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
getting
lot.
jobbed.
Because you have to understand the importance of 0-1 and 1-0. You got to understand that. It changed the whole landscape of bats. Now listen, on the flip side, pitchers feel the same way. It should be 0-1 and it's 1-0. Now I got to make a different pitch in my head. I got to go against the grain to now get this big hitter out when I made a strike. And it might be the perfect pitch, but if you missed it and I'm 1-0, now I get to eat a little bit more.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting how this plays out, but I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.